Hey, welcome back, everybody. My name is Dennis Brown. Excuse me, welcome back to the Freight Broker Bootcamp Live Monday session we have every Monday at noon. Again, my name is Dennis Brown. I want to thank you for catching this on replay. For those of you that are catching this on replay, hit me up in the comments with hashtag replay. I'd love to hear from you. And for those of you that are catching me live and that are just joining the stream, thank you for joining me. I know your time is valuable. I'm excited because today I'm going to share with you 7 freight broker startup tips to help you succeed in 2021. Okay, so most of you watching this are either freight broker or freight agent startups or looking to start a freight brokerage or a freight agency. So I'm going to share 7 tips with you. Actually, that's a lie. That's a lie. I'm actually going to share 7 tips plus 1 or maybe even 2 bonus tips for those of you that stick around to the end of the training. Plus, after the tips, after the training, I'm actually going to do a live Q&A. Okay, so I'm going to do a live Q&A where you can ask questions. I'll do my best to answer those questions, and hopefully we can get to as many questions as we can. We won't get to all of them. We rarely do, but we are going to do that at the end. So for those of you that are used to joining me, I see you've already hit me up in the chat box with your city and state. For those of you that are just joining me first time, or maybe you forgot, hit me up in the chat box. Let me know the city and state that you're logging in from, and I will try to give you a shout out real quick before we get started while people are getting live. So welcome Paul Spates from Frisco, Texas. Welcome Fausto from Rio Rancho, New Mexico. Jason from Atlanta. Cynthia from District Heights, Maryland. Atari from Martin, Tennessee. Erica from Chino, California. Eduardo from Las Vegas. Wish I was in Vegas right now. Patty from Rock Springs, Wyoming. Michelle from Ohio. Cindy Kane from Houston. We have Preddy from Bakersfield, California. Mark from Wappinger Falls, New York, another New York guy. Nikita. Welcome, welcome. Liz from Chicago. Welcome, welcome Kate from Boynton Beach, Florida. Welcome, Hog and Touch from Florida. Welcome, Michael from Augusta, Kansas. Welcome, Ezekiel. Welcome, Marquetta from Jackson, Tennessee. John from New Jersey. Welcome. Welcome, B. Ellis from Georgia, Beverly, Georgia. And Shonya Hayes from Fort Worth, Texas. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining me live. If you're catching this on replay, I truly appreciate it. I know your time is valuable. We do a live freight broker training every Monday at noon. I cover different topics ranging from, how to get customers, to rating, to sales, to marketing, to operations, to motivation, to goal setting, to almost every facet of your business. And today, the cool part is today I'm going to share with you 7 tips, 7 freight broker tips for startups in 2021. Okay, so we've got a bunch of people that are joining us live. Let me grab a quick drink. We're gonna hit the ground running. We're gonna get through these tips really quick, and then we're gonna go into live Q&A, like I said before. So if you're a first timer and this is your first time in the stream, I would absolutely love to hear from you. Hit me up in the chat box and let me know that you're a first timer. Really appreciate that. As well as the fact, if you share this stream on Facebook or YouTube or somewhere on social, if you share the stream right now and you type hashtag shared in the comments, like you'll see some other people that have already said hashtag shared. If you share the stream, at the end of this training, I'm actually going to do a giveaway, right? I'm going to do a free giveaway. I usually give away some prizes. And I'm going to do that again today. Let's see, what am I going to give away? Hold on a second. I'm going to give away another Freightpreneur t-shirt. Okay, this is the highly coveted Freightpreneur t-shirt. It says, someone who solves problems you don't know you have in ways you can't understand. Okay, so I'm going to give one of these away at the end. If you type hashtag shared in the chat box, you'll be eligible to possibly win this t-shirt that I'll ship out later this week, okay? So That's a lot to cover really quick, and we've got a lot of great information. So make sure you guys do that. Hashtag shared, but you've got to share the stream, which means if you're on YouTube and you're watching the stream, you got to click share, and you got to share it on Twitter, you got to share it on Facebook, or you got to share it with your email list, or you got to share it somewhere, share it on Pinterest, share it somewhere, okay? Share it somewhere on social. Send an email. If you don't have a lot of social, share it with 3 people via email. Okay, that's fine too, no problem. Just click the link, share it, boom, you're gone. If you're on Facebook, share it here on Facebook. Let other people know about Freight Broker Bootcamp. I truly appreciate it. And that is your price of admission, okay? So I didn't charge you to come into these trainings. I never do. That's your price of admission. So, and also make sure you hit the like button. So here we go, guys. Enough hoopla at the beginning. Today, we are going to go over 7 freight broker tips to help you succeed for startups, I should say. Today, we're going to go over 7 freight broker startup tips to help you succeed in 2021, okay? So that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, these tips cover a variety of different areas, but I'm going to just go through these tips quickly. I'm going to maybe touch on a couple, and then again, at the end, we're going to do some live Q&A so you can ask questions about these tips or any questions that you might have. Okay, so number 1, the number 1 tip, and these are in no discernible order, but number 1 on the list is keep your expenses low and manage your cash flow. All right, this is really important. As a startup, you cannot go out and spend a bunch of money unnecessarily. There are things you're going to have to invest in to become a freight broker or a freight agent. Some of them are licensing and bonding and things with the FMCSA and to get your authority. Some of them are technology. Some of them are just the basics of a startup. But what I don't want you doing is going out and spending a lot of money frivolously, okay? So keep your expenses low. Shop around for the best price you can get on a freight broker bond. Shop around for the software that you need now as a startup, not necessarily the most expensive software that you need later, okay? So keep your expenses low and manage your cash flow. When you start moving loads, make sure that you're paying your carriers on time, okay? There's a margin in there. If you charge a shipper $1,000 and you pay a carrier $850, you made $150. You didn't make $1,000. You've got to pay that carrier. So number 1 on the list is keep your expenses low and manage your cash flow. Very, very important, okay? Number 2 on the list, and you guys that have heard of me before, been following me for a while, have heard me harp about this for years and years and years and years, and that is find your niche. Riches are in niches. I don't care if you're in the freight industry or any industry. In my opinion, you need to find and specialize in a niche. Jack of all trades, master of none is not the way to be successful as a freight broker. You can't serve everybody in the industry, meaning one day you're moving van loads from Buffalo to Atlanta, and the next day you're moving heavy haul loads from Portland, Oregon down to Houston, right? It doesn't work that way. Now, it doesn't mean that over time you can't learn other skills and develop your niches and have more than one niche. But when you first start, when you're a freight broker startup, you have to find your niche. I did an entire training on this. You can search it on YouTube. Freight broker niches, freight broker bootcamp, whatever, how to find your niche in a freight broker. You'll find it. You can also go to my blog and check that out as well, freightbrokerbootcamp.com/blog, okay? All right, so that's number 2, find your niche. These are really important, okay? Number 3, leverage the connections that you already have. Now, what do I mean by that? You know, most of you are probably in your 20s or 30s or 40s or maybe even your 50s that are on this live or considering starting your freight brokerage. So during that time, you've met hundreds, if not thousands of people. Some of you are truck drivers. Perfect example. I get this question all the time. I've been a truck driver for 3 years or 5 years or 10 years or 20 years. Can I use the contacts that I've met throughout my career to launch my freight brokerage? And the answer is yes. You absolutely should use the contacts that you've established throughout your life. Now, the trucking analogy is a simple one, right? Because they're talking to people on a shipping dock, shipping managers, people that are loading trucks. So those are people that are front and center that you would definitely want to be talking to. But let's say, for example, you weren't in the trucking or logistics industry and you're starting this business, or you're interested in starting this business like I was. You know, you can reach out to people that you know who may know somebody. I'll give you a perfect example. When I first started my freight brokerage back in 2003, I had a good friend who had a lot of connections. He was really well known. And I started talking to him, sharing what I was doing, and I asked him if he knew anybody who I might be able to talk to, who might be interested or need or use transportation logistics services. He connected me with the vice president of a recycling company. They did recycled rubber, and in that first year of working with them, we did over 6 figures with that client, and it came through a referral of somebody that I knew. Now, that person that I knew, his name was John. I'd known him for a long time. He did nothing that I could ship for him. He was not a manufacturer, distributor, importer, exporter. He was just a guy who had a lot of great connections. So he connected me to the vice president of a recycling company, which led to me doing over 6 figures in business the first year. And over the lifetime of that client, we did over $1 million in sales with them, okay? So that's an example of use the connections that you have, okay? Leverage the connections that you have. Let people know what you're doing, ask for referrals, and try to see if you can get in the door with somebody through those current channels that you already have, okay? So that's number 3. Number 4, study your competition. Study your competition. Look at people in the industry that are doing well. Look at companies that are growing rapidly. Now, you can't emulate everything they're doing because they have more capital than you and they have more resources than you, but you can model what they do. Look at companies like C.H. Robinson and Total Quality Logistics and, and all of the, Coyote Logistics and all of the large brokerages that have grown rapidly over the years. I mean, when you look at their growth trajectory, it's huge. Study what they're doing today and study what they did in the past. The internet is a great tool. Google knows everything. Go on there and study. Find out what they're doing now, how they're differentiating themselves, the types of services they're offering, the clients they're doing business with. Really do your due diligence. Always be a student of your competition. Learn from your competition. There's a ton you can learn from your competition, I promise you, okay? So study your competition is number 4. Number 5 is build your online presence. Now, what do I mean by that? That means twofold. I want you to build your website, blog, which is your website/blog. You should have a blog as attachment to your website. And a blog is simply someplace where you publish ongoing content beyond just your standard website service contact information content. You're going to want to start creating content online, and the blog is the best place to start, okay? So you want to start creating your online presence. So set up a website. And then the second part of that is leverage your social presence. Develop a presence on social media. My first choice for developing a presence on social media as a freight broker is LinkedIn. Set up a LinkedIn profile, optimize your profile, start developing connections within the industry with past people that you know in your network. Start connecting and networking with people that could either be your prospect or client or may know your prospect or client, okay? So develop your online presence. You need to start that early. I can tell you right now that I started mine virtually day one back in 2003 when I first started. And it took me about a year to get onto the first page of Google for organic search rankings. And after that, we were on the first page of Google for the entire time that I owned the business. Sorry about that. I just hit the microphone. But yeah, so develop your online presence early, okay? So that's number 5. Number 6. This is a very, very important one. So lean in on this one. I want you to really pay attention to this one. I want you to focus on HVA versus LVA. Now, what do I mean by that? HVA is high value activities. So now you can guess what LVA is. Low value activities. Surfing the internet aimlessly, or sitting on social media, or doing things that are not directly related to one of these 7 tips, and or directly getting clients and having conversations with your target market is probably an LVA, right? We want to focus on HVA, high value activities, all right? So if you find yourself twiddling your thumbs, surfing the internet, doing things that are not highly productive or high value, you have to stay away from that as a startup. Every minute of the day has a dollar value associated with it. You have to think that way, okay? You have to think about every minute of the day has value associated with it. And if you waste that time, you are hurting your opportunity or your chances for success, okay? So focus on HVA, not LVA, okay? That's number 6. Number 7, be optimistic, but be prepared for the worst, okay? Be optimistic. I want you to be positive. I want you to be optimistic. I want you to set goals, but you also have to prepare for the worst. Are you in a position where you can prepare for the worst? Your projections are you're going to do X amount in sales month 1 and maybe Y amount in sales in month 3 and Z amount of sales in month 6. Let's say you only did half of that for each one of those goals. You only hit 50% of your goals during those first 6 months. Are you able to survive? Are you able to thrive? Are you going to be able to continue with your dream and your goal and your business, okay? So be optimistic, but prepare for the worst, okay? All right, so those are the seven tips, but I'm going to give you a couple of bonus tips, all right? So I'm going to give you a couple of bonus tips, and then we are going to dive into the Q&A. But before I hit the bonus tips, here's what I want to let you know. If you guys are curious about becoming a freight broker or a freight agent, and you've been sitting on the fence, you've been waiting for the perfect timing, here's what I can tell you. There is no perfect time. You know, I own a training company called FreightBrokerBootcamp.com. We've been in business for over a decade. We've trained over 8,000 students, okay? Many of them have went on to build 6 and 7 and even 8-figure businesses. They've been very, very blessed, and I've been blessed to be their mentor. So here's the thing. If you're curious about becoming a freight broker, check it out. We offer over a 60-day, 100% money-back guarantee. Again, we've trained over 8,000 students, and you can't go wrong. It's the most cost-effective, comprehensive online freight broker training program available today, okay? So that's my infomercial. That's my quick infomercial. Hope you guys feel free to check that out, all right? So, and I look forward to working with you. Many of the people that are in this stream or commenting here now are already past students. You'll probably hear from them. Many of them are past students. I would probably say at least half of the people that are watching this are past students. So all right, great. So let's jump into the bonus tips. The first bonus tip, I should say, is focus on relationships. Brokers and startups have a tendency to focus on transactions, meaning they're looking for the deal. They're looking for the load. They're looking for, the money. And that's important. Don't get me wrong. Your business requires oxygen, and money is that oxygen, okay? So I understand that. But you need to focus on relationships first. And when I say relationships, I mean relationships with potential prospects, relationships with potential carriers, relationships with potential employees, relationships with potential vendors, whether that be software or technology or whatever. Develop and focus on relationships. I can tell you this, relationships will get you 100 times further than any individual transaction, okay? So don't be a typical broker which focuses on transaction. Be a broker that focuses on relationships and values those relationships. Invest in relationships. That's bonus tip number 1. And bonus tip number 2, I probably don't need to tell you, but I'm going to remind you, find a mentor. Find a mentor. Now, find somebody that you can follow. Find somebody that you resonate with. Find somebody that you can ask questions to. Find somebody that you can emulate. Find somebody who's already done what you're looking to do and follow them and emulate them. Now, here's the thing. Not all of my mentors did I know, or could I call up on the phone, or I could send an email. A lot of my mentors were people that wrote books. They wrote successful books. They published blog posts. They wrote articles. They did things on YouTube, right? They went to different events. So I didn't know all of my mentors before I started using them and following them as mentors. So we're here on Alive. If you want me to be part of your mentoring team, then you just need to plug into these weekly lives. And if you're curious and really want to accelerate your process, join FreightBrokerBootcamp.com. And then at that point, you can get access to all the training and all the support, as well as any of the extras like these lives, okay? So I'm gonna run through the 7 plus the bonus really quick, okay? Number 1, keep your expenses down and manage cash flow. Number 2, find your niche. Number 3, leverage the connections you already have. Number 4, study your competition. Number 5, build your online presence with your website, blog, and social media. Number 6, focus on HVA versus LVA. Number 7, be optimistic, but prepare for the worst. Number 8, which is the bonus tip number 1, focus on relationships over transactions, invest in relationships. And number 9, find a mentor, okay? So I hope you guys enjoyed these 7 tips plus the bonus tips for freight broker startups in 2021. I can tell you that those would probably be the same tips that I gave in 2020, but we're in a new year. It's March 1st. You know, the first quarter is about to wrap up. I hope you guys are excited. I hope you guys are making steps towards your goals for 2021. Again, if you're curious about becoming a freight broker or freight agent, check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com. Trained over 8,000 students. We have a 60-day, 100% no questions, money back, ironclad money back guarantee. So if you're not happy for any reason, we'll give your money back. It's not an issue, okay? So that was a lot of information. I'm going to get a quick drink. We're going to jump into some Q&A. You guys have been waiting very Sorry, guys, I lost you for 1 second there. That's a funny thing on my mouse. I don't know why, but anyway, I'm back. I apologize. I lost you for about 5 seconds. I'm going to grab a quick drink, and then we're going to jump into some Q&A, and we're actually going to give away the T-shirt. We're going to give away the T-shirt. Matter of fact, we'll do that right now. Let's give away this T-shirt. What I want you to do is I want you to share the stream, whether it be on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or Pinterest or Instagram, wherever, TikTok. I don't care where you share the stream, but share this stream. Go into the chat box and type #shared. If you share the stream, you're going to qualify to potentially win this shirt. This is I get inquiries about this shirt almost every day. People are asking me to start selling it. I don't really want to start selling swag, but I will give them away, okay? And again, this is the Freightpreneur T-shirt I created. Someone who solves problems you don't know you have in ways you can't understand, okay? So if you type #shared, you got to share it first, though. I promise this is not an honor system because I can't go back and check everybody. This is an honor system. But if I catch anybody violating it, I won't give away any more free T-shirts. I won't give away anything. So make sure you type #shared, share it somewhere on social media. And I'm going to do a quick drawing here that's going to select one winner. We had a winner. I haven't done this in I did it last week, but I hadn't done it for a few weeks before that. And I love giving this stuff away. I love helping you guys out. So, all right, we got a bunch of people who saying they shared the stream. I think last time we had over 20 or maybe 30 different shares, which was great. So hopefully we can beat that this time. All right, so I'm going to give it one more minute, grab a quick drink. All right, so you've got a shot here to share the stream, and then we're going to go into Q&A. Hold your questions so that I can see all the shares first, and then we're going to go into Q&A, okay? All right, so here we go. I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to scroll through the list of people that shared the stream, and I'm going to pick one person randomly, and then that person, what I want you to do is I want you to send me your name, your address, and your size, okay? You're going to send that to me through the Facebook page, right? Through Freight Broker Bootcamp Facebook page. Send me a message through that page with your name, your address, and your size, and then I'll send that shirt out to you here in the next week, okay? So we're going to scroll through. I'm going to close my eyes, randomly hit somebody here. Let's see who we hit. Oh, we didn't hit anybody. Let me try it again. Oh, we didn't hit. Hold on, let me try it again. All right, here we go. Nelson Sanchez. Nelson Sanchez, even though he wrote dared, not shared, I believe he shared it. So Nelson Sanchez is the winner of the Freight Broker Bootcamp. Well, not the Freight Broker Bootcamp, but the Freightpreneur T-shirt. I will ship that out to you this week. Again, this only qualifies for people that are in the United States, okay? I can't be shipping these things to Africa or the Middle East or the UK or South America, right? It's going to it'd be cost prohibitive. So these are US only, okay? I should have said that beforehand. I apologize. But Nelson, message me your name, address, and your size, and I'll get one of these shirts off to you, okay? Awesome. So listen, let's get into the Q&A, guys. Appreciate you guys playing along on the shared. Thank you so much for letting other people know about the stream. Truly appreciate it, letting me know about the weekly training. Aha, Nelson's excited. Awesome. Thank you, Nelson. Thank you for joining me live. And everybody, thank you for joining me live. Thank you so much. Cindy Kane is a former winner. You can see her saying congratulations. Cindy won one of these t-shirts a while back, and I've given away quite a few. So, all right, guys, so let's dive into the questions. I know you guys have some Q&A for me. I'm going to try to get to as many as I can. Hopefully we can do about 15 or 20 minutes of questions. I'll dive in, and then we'll see where we can get from there. I'm going to grab a quick drink. You guys ask some questions. Reginald, I can't contact you. There's no way for me to call everybody. Here's your first question. There's no way for me to call or have a phone conversation with everybody about Freight Broker Bootcamp. If I did that, I'd have to charge 5 times as much, okay? So all the information about Freight Broker Bootcamp is on freightbrokerbootcamp.com. You go there, all the details about the course, all the different types of memberships, the 60-day guarantee, everything is there, okay? And if you have questions after that, feel free to send an email to support@freightbrokerbootcamp.com, and we'll try to answer those questions via email, right? So hope that helps. All right, so let's hit some questions. Here's a question from Dove Sauer. Hi, Dennis. I'm a student. What are the most progressive and profitable HBAs? Thank you for the time. All right. It's not HBA, it's HVA, high value activities. He's referring to number 6 in the tips that we just did through that training that we just did, okay? So HVA, the most valuable activities you can have are 1, finding your niche, right? Researching and finding your niche. That's one of the most valuable. And then second only to that, after that, is to start having conversations with your target market. So you're going to start doing outreach via phone or face-to-face or via cold email or through LinkedIn. You got to start a dialogue and start having conversations with your prospects, with your target market, with your niche. The other high-value activity is starting to develop relationships with carriers, right? So that means posting loads to load boards. That means contacting carriers from load boards based upon the lanes they're running. So those are probably the 3 highest value activities. 1 is finding your niche. 2 is having conversations with your target market, with your niche, typically your prospects or people that can be your customers. And number 3 is developing relationships and having conversations with prospective carriers. Okay, so those are probably the top 3. Hope that helps. All right, let's keep going. Okay, so here's a question from Jason. Jason says, is it good practice to offer our referral program to shippers in the shipper packet? I put one in the carrier packet and sign up is on the website. Okay, so this is a good question. Having a referral program, a paid referral program where people that refer you potential shippers and then they become clients and you start generating profit and you pay them some form of the profit for a paid referral program is a great idea. I've talked about that before. Jason's asking, should you put it in your setup pack for your shipper packet? My answer to that is I probably wouldn't. I probably would not put it in the setup pack. I don't have a hard reason why other than the fact that I don't want to throw more information at them. I want to throw less information at them. Here's why. Because a confused mind makes no decisions. Remember that. When you get confused, when a prospect in the sales process gets confused, they don't say yes, no, or maybe. They make no decisions. Okay? So throwing more information at your prospect is particularly early in your relationship is probably not a good idea. So what I might do is I might follow up if they are a yes or a no later. If they're a yes, then I'm going to start getting the shipments from them. I'm going to start moving the loads with them. And then I would probably introduce that referral program down the road. If they are a no, then I would probably introduce that referral program at the point that they're a no. Just because they don't want to do business with me or they don't need me right now or there's not demand doesn't mean that they don't know anybody who could give me referrals. So I probably would not include it in the shipper setup pack, but I probably would touch every one of my prospects that were a yes or a no with that opportunity later. So I hope that helps. All right, so I'm scrolling through the questions here. Excuse me. I'm just going to give Kate a little bit of encouragement. Congratulations on getting out of the truck, getting the home office set up, waiting for your broker, your license to come in the mail. Guess what? You're nervous? Don't worry about it. Everybody's nervous. And everybody's bad before they're good. Don't worry about it. You got to embrace that fear. Roll with it. Trust me, I'm sure you're going to do great. But the only way you're going to do great is to get started. You're on your way. So just, you're going to be fine. Trust me, you're going to be fine. There's nothing that can happen when you're calling prospects other than them telling you no, and who cares, right? You just call another one, and you're going to be shocked. If you focus on relationships and you focus on being different, and you focus on serving versus selling, you're going to be shocked at the response you'll get from people, okay? So that's just a word of encouragement, Kate. Oh, here's a good question. Okay, what books do you recommend in this field or to buy? Selling strategies. Okay, so I'm going to give you a few books, okay? Let's see. I don't have enough books back here, do I? Here's a book I highly recommend, The Sales Bible, by one of my mentors and now friends, Jeffrey Gitomer. The story behind this is I've been following Jeffrey Gitomer since the early 90s when I first started in sales. He was a mentor of mine from afar. I never met him. Last year, I was blessed to be able to interview him on my podcast, and he interviewed me on his podcast. So I now have his phone number, his email. I can contact him. We have ongoing discussions. This is a great book, Sales Bible. Okay, check that out. That's a great book. All right, so let's check out another one. Here you go. Here's another one. Very popular one. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I have given away hundreds of these copies of this book, okay? Probably because for me, if you are new to entrepreneurship, if you're new to sales, this is kind of like a playbook, right? It doesn't talk about social media. It doesn't talk about marketing. It talks about how to win friends and influence people. This is very fundamental. You need to understand these skills, all right? So there's two. Let's see, what else do we got? I'm still here. Hold on, I'm just looking for some books here. They're spread out all over the place. Man, they're all over. It's hard to just recommend a few. I've got so many, right? I wish I'd have prepared for this a little bit better. Personal development, on a personal development standpoint, anything by Tony Robbins. This is the first one of the first personal development books I ever read. This is back in the early 90s again, this is Awaken the Giant Within. That's another great book from a personal development standpoint. What else do we have? Yeah, I mean, that's a few books that I would highly recommend. One of my good friends, Stu Heineck, has a book called How to Get a Meeting with Anyone. This is a great book. I wish I had this book early in my entrepreneurial career. I promise you, I wish I had this book. Great investment, How to Get a Meeting with Anyone. This would be a great investment. So those are a few books that I think could help you as a startup, as a freight broker. Okay, so I think I did. If you go on my blog, freightbrokerbootcamp.com/blog, and you type in books, I think I did a book recommendation with 5 or 10 different books that you might want to check out. So that's another place you could go to check out some of the books that I recommend, or have recommended in the past, I should say. Good question. Thank you. Just scrolling through here. Okay, Raphael, I appreciate you being so transparent. This is a difficult question to answer. So the question is, I just got out of prison after 15 years and I just signed up for your program. I don't have any credit or money for a trust fund. How do I get started? Start as a freight agent. Become a freight broker agent to start. A freight broker agent, just so in case you don't understand, works under a licensed freight broker, but you are an independent business owner. So you're an independent contractor that works under a licensed freight broker, and you work on a commission-only basis. Typically, the commissions range from 50 to 70% of the profit. That means if you have a load that a shipper's paying you $1,000 and you pay a truck driver, you pay a carrier $800, you got $200 in margin, you're gonna make somewhere between 50 and 70%, which is $100 to $140 on that load. And it doesn't matter whether because you don't need a freight broker license, it doesn't matter whether you have a felony or not, or whether you have any criminal history. What will matter is your ability to develop a relationship with that broker and have them trust you, that they can trust you as an agent, as a partner in their business. So I'm not saying it's going to be easy, Raphael. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. And I think you know that. If I told you that, I think you'd realize I was lying, okay? But it's doable. It's definitely doable, okay? So do your best, never quit. Keep me posted and let me know how things go. I wish you the best. Hold on, I'm scrolling through it. The thing just whipped up here. I apologize. I need to get an assistant who goes through all my questions here. Okay, so Erica Hansen asks, I'm planning on enrolling in your course. I'm interested in understanding if I need business credit to set up an account with a freight broker factoring company. No. So as a freight broker, if you decide to partner with a factoring company to help you finance your receivables and to help you manage your cash flow, your personal credit is not typically what they're going to be most concerned about. What they are going to be most concerned about is the credit of your shippers, okay? So the shippers that you're doing business with, the clients that you're doing business with, they're most concerned about that because they're really not extending you credit as much as they're extending them credit, okay? Now, there are some caveats to that. They're gonna wanna make sure that you're a real person. They're gonna wanna make sure that if you have F credit, I don't know, maybe some factoring companies might look down on that. But I don't think you need a high credit score in order to start partnering and doing business with a factoring company. But your shippers, your customers, they're going to be evaluating their credit. So most of the decision is based upon the shipper's credit, not on your personal credit as a broker, okay? Hope that helps. Good question, Eric. I've never got that question before. Kudos. And when I say I've never got a question before, that means a lot because I could literally get hundreds and hundreds of questions every month, okay? We get tons of questions. Let's keep scrolling. So Kiara Jenkins asked, can you start a freight brokerage under the same LLC as your carrier? Yes, you can. Now, there are pros and cons to that. I'm not here to give financial or legal advice, but if I did it, I would start them under two different corporations. Here's why. Because number one, it can be more expensive to get insurance if you are a carrier and a broker under the same policy, okay? I've heard that before. Now, I'm not a carrier, right? I focus in on brokerage, but I have heard that before. I've had students that have told me that before. Number two, if you ever want to sell one side of the business or the other, say you want to sell the asset-based side or you want to sell the brokerage side, having two different corporations and two different entities is an easy way to divide all that revenue and to divide that value so that if you want to position it for a sale later, it'll be easier. So those are a couple of reasons and a little bit of feedback on that. Oh, here you go. Michelle Portwood asks, I heard you saying in an audio book on sales, the saying some will, some won't next. Okay, it's called Go for No. That book is Go for No. It's a great book. I've got it up here somewhere. I don't know where it is, but Go for No is the book that you're looking for, Michelle. It's a mindset book. It talks about the sales mindset, and a very important mindset, okay, that stands in the way of many people having success, because a lot of people have anxiety and fear around making sales calls. And if you have that type of fear, or it's slowing you down, then you definitely want to get a copy of that book, Go for No. Thank you. Good question. Michelle, there's only 3 ways you can get rates. The 3 most reliable ways to get rates. And I would use all 3, not just one. Number 1 is use the rating tools by the DAT and Truckstop and other load boards, the online rating tools. That's going to give you an idea. You cannot go to those and expect to use those exact rates. You're going to have to do additional research. That's step number 1. Step number 2, talk to carriers, right? So you could post a load and you could get a carrier to call you and give you live feedback on what the rate is for that lane. You can have a conversation with them about that. Some people don't like to do that. It aggravates some people. But if you need live rating data and you want to know what a truck is going to cost today for a lane from A to B, that's an easy way to do it. Number 3 is go to the history, go to the lane history in your load board, whatever load board it is. They typically have a lane history. So if you type in Buffalo to Atlanta van loads, it's going to give you a list of all the carriers that have posted their truck in that lane over the last 90 days or so. And you'll see the name of the company, their phone number, and how many times they posted that truck. You can contact those companies and ask them and start negotiating with them on the rates for that specific lane. So that's the only way you can do it. You can either use market-related data that's digital in the rating tools, or you can talk to carriers and find out what the real spot market rate is. That's it. And then after a while, you're going to get a sense, you're going to get a feel, you're going to get an understanding of what the rates are, right? Once you move Buffalo to Atlanta van load 5 or 10 times, you're probably not going to have to call a carrier every time, because you're going to know the rates, unless something changed considerably, like fuel prices, or we had another global pandemic, God forbid. The rates stay fairly stable in most cases, and so you're probably not going to have a huge issue. Okay, so that's my tips. Here's a question from Val. Val says, how important is having insurance to land shippers? Well, I guess it depends on what type of insurance. Freight brokers, there's really only 2 primary types of insurance that brokers get. One is general liability insurance, which has some value, but most shippers don't care about it. The other one is contingent cargo insurance, which most shippers don't care about, but some shippers do. They require you to have contingent cargo. My suggestion as a freight broker startup is don't get either one of those, general liability or contingent cargo, until you need it. If you have a shipper who's telling you they will do business with you and they will work with you on specific lanes, and you can get a feel or a sense as to a comfort level that they are going to start doing business with you, you can always set up general liability and contingent cargo insurance in less than a week, okay? So I would wait. I would first contact shippers that don't require you to do that or will do business with you without it. You could probably get some positive cash flow going. Again, tip number 1 on my 7 tips were keep expenses down and manage your cash flow. That's an example of keeping expenses down. But if you have a shipper who's telling you they'll do business with you, if you have contingent cargo and you feel very comfortable with that, then you're going to be able to finance the cost of that insurance, which can vary on contingent cargo anywhere between, let's say, $100 a month and $400 a month, depending upon the different criteria, the different providers, the different, exclusions and nuances of the policy. If you feel as though the business is going to be able to justify that, then go get the contingent cargo and start doing business with them. But initially, as a startup, you don't need either one. Okay, so I'm scrolling. Okay, so here's a question from Vadim. I was told that in order to become a freight broker, I actually need a $75,000 bond. Is that true? Yes. To be a licensed freight broker in the United States, the FMCSA requires you to have a $75,000 bond. But here's the good news. That doesn't mean you need to have $75,000. A surety bond is like an insurance policy of sorts. You don't have to have that amount of money for a freight broker surety bond. You will pay a monthly premium, much like you pay on insurance. And then what happens is they provide you coverage up to $75,000 in the event that a carrier were to file on your freight broker bond, okay? So it's a very low risk bond, so the premiums are very low, typically somewhere between 2 and 5% is the typical premiums, annual premiums on a freight broker bond. So you're talking about anywhere between, let's call it $1,500 and maybe $3,000 or $4,000, right? As far as, the total annual bond cost. So no, you do not need $75,000, but you do need a $75,000 bond in order to have an active legal broker authority through the FMCSA in the United States. I can't represent other countries, but in the United States, you have to have that. I got a couple of questions in here from people saying that they can't get hired as a freight agent without experience. That's not true. Stop calling the freight brokers that are advertising for freight agents or the established brokers that have an agent program. Focus on smaller brokers who aren't advertising. Get a list of brokers. Here's a challenge. My challenge to you is this. Find a list of 50 brokers, which should be very easy, whether they are local or otherwise, that are not currently out there advertising for a freight agent program. You call all 50, email all 50, have a conversation with all 50 of those, and I will challenge you to not get hired as a freight agent. Somebody will give you an opportunity as a straight commission freight agent. There's not one person that's ever taken me up on this challenge that has ever came back and said they did not get hired. But I've had dozens come back and say, you were right, Dennis. I just needed to focus on people that were not looking for experienced agents. Most startups, whether they're in business for a year or 2 or 3, will hire you, on a straight commission basis. But you do have to go in there and sell yourself. If you're trying to go to big companies like my old company, Logistic Dynamics, and trying to get hired as an agent with no book of business or no sales experience, it's not going to happen. They don't need you. They've already developed a product and a reputation that will allow them to recruit experienced agents with a book of business. But if you focus on the companies that are looking to grow, who don't have that product and don't have that brand and don't have that reputation, they'll give you an opportunity. I promise you. You know how I know? Because I did it when I first started. And I know tons of students that have gotten hired through freight brokers as long as they weren't out there posting on Indeed or posting on Jobs and Logistics looking for agents. They just called them up. Maybe they were local in their area, or maybe they were, who knows, maybe they were just someone they found through Google, okay? So for those of you that are asking that question, trust me, you can do it. Go to my blog, freightbrokerbootcamp.com/blog, and type in get hired in the search. You'll find an entire video training and a blog post that I did about that exact process, okay? So I hope that helps. All right, a couple more questions. Millie, how do I get shippers? It's one word. It's called sales. Okay? It's called sales. Matter of fact, last week's training was an entire training I did about how do freight brokers get customers, facts versus myths. If you go to YouTube and you type that in, or you go to Freight Broker Bootcamp channel, or you type in how do freight brokers get customers, facts versus myth, I did an entire training on that. Here's what's not going to work. Going to a load board as a broker to try to get customers is not going to work. Here's what works. Outbound outreach sales, like cold calling, going, face-to-face cold calling, cold emailing, using LinkedIn or social media to start a conversation with your target market, those work. Inbound strategies like paid advertising, content marketing like we talked about before with your website and your blog, referral programs, things of that nature. Those are inbound, right? So if you want to check that out, you can check that out on YouTube. YouTube.com/Freight Brokers is the channel, or you can search for Freight Broker Bootcamp or Dennis Brown. You'll find my channel and find all my videos. We've got hundreds of videos on that channel. They're all free, okay? All right, one last look here. Let's see. All right, so here's a question by Mr. Bobby Brown, the Mr. Bobby Brown, by the way. Hi, Dennis. Should I focus on building a carrier database or looking for shippers first? You know, this is the $64,000 question. What comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? If you can answer that question, I can answer this question for you, okay? You know, there is no right or wrong answer. Here's what I would tell you. In finding your niche, in the early stages of your business, when you're finding and identifying your niche, you probably will not only reach out to shippers, but you also reach out to carriers. Or you also reach out on the carrier side. A lot of times when new brokers start business, one of the ways that they niche down is by lanes and equipment, right? So sometimes they're going to focus in on flatbed loads. Sometimes they're going to focus in on refrigerated. So that's a way to niche down, right? And so a lot of times you will go to load boards and use load boards as a way to source carriers, to understand the dynamics of how freight is moving, the rates, things of that nature. So I think that's an important part of your due diligence. But doing that and not having conversations with your shippers is probably going to be a huge mistake. So I think it's going to be both. But I don't think it's just one or the other. I think it's both, right? I think, you know, the interesting thing about being a freight broker is you really have two customers. One is the shipper and one is the carrier. Even though you're not paying the carrier, you need to develop relationships with carriers, with drivers, with fleets of drivers in order to effectively grow your business, because without them, you can't move any freight. So you really have two customers. You really got three customers, right? You got your shippers, you got your carriers, and you have your employees. Those are the three customers. Those are the three stakeholders that you've got to keep happy, and you've got to continue to develop your relationship and enhance the value that you provide for them, okay? But in regards to this, I think it's both. Thanks, Mr. Bobby Brown. Appreciate it. Who knows? Maybe we're related. The blog, freightbrokerbootcamp.com/blog. freightbrokerbootcamp.com/blog. Let me put it in here. All right, I just posted it. Here it is right here. If you guys want to go to the blog and check out all of my past blog posts, check it out, right? Or you can go on YouTube and you can check out over 100 free training videos there as well, okay? Last question for today. Is filing for UCR mandatory for freight brokers? Yes, it is. You do have to file. I think the cost for a freight broker to file your UCR is an annual filing fee of $59. So you will need your UCR in order to get your freight broker authority active. It is a requirement. You need your freight broker bond, you need your BOC3, and you need your UCR. Okay, those are three things that you're going to have in order to get your freight broker authority approved. I hope this helps, guys. These are great questions. Thank you for being here. Truly appreciate it. If you guys are curious about becoming a freight broker or freight agent and you want more information about that, go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com. I just posted it in the chat here. Okay. Go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com. Check that out. Again, we've trained over 8,000 students. We have a 60-day, 100% money-back guarantee. If you're already a student or if you liked what you saw today, do me a huge favor. Make sure you smash the like button, share the stream. Come back next week. I do a live training every Monday at noon. Come back and join me for another Freight Broker Bootcamp Live. Have an awesome week. Have a profitable week. We'll see you next week. Thanks.